Thank you for joining us. We'll be starting in just a moment. Thanks for sharing where you're joining us from, and we'll start in just a moment. We're going to admit a few more people. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to the National University Speaker Series. My name is Dr. Nancy Rohland-Heinrich, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Vice President of Community Engagement for National University. I am proud to be the founder and host of our National University Speaker Series. We started the series in July of 2020, and today will be episode number 62. During that time, we've had just a wonderful group of presenters on a wide variety of subjects. Please note that all of our past webinars have been recorded and you can listen to prior episodes. We'll post a link in the chat so you can save that for later. We truly appreciate all of you joining us today, whether it's your first time attending one of our speaker series or if you have attended many of our past events. In our audience, we certainly want to welcome any alumni joining us, current students, faculty, staff, and the many community members who follow our series. National University prides itself on being in and of the community, and we appreciate our virtual audiences. Today, we have people joining us from throughout the country and abroad, and we hope that this next hour will be time well spent. Let me take a moment to share a few things about National University. We're very excited this month as it's our 54th anniversary. We were founded in 1971 by a retired U.S. Navy captain, Dr. David Chagos, and the university has had a very rich history of providing accessible and relevant higher education programs to meet the needs of non-traditional working and military students. You often hear us refer to our students as Anders. I would like to especially acknowledge that 50% of our undergraduate students are military affiliated. So we have always had a strong military contingency in our student body. NU provides academic programs to more than 50,000 academic students per year, and they are enrolled in more than 125 degree programs at the undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral level. We have now reached an alumni network of more than 252,000 graduates, and our graduates certainly include some very distinguished alumni. But it is time now to introduce today's topic, our speaker and moderator. So regardless of what field you work in and what position you hold, I hope you find today's topic of interest as we explore beyond the title and what it truly takes to lead. We will hear from Jamie Moraga soon, and we are excited to have her share broader leadership lessons as well as insights from her new book, Revered, and the insights she's gathered on the power of female leadership. But at this time, I would like to introduce today's moderator, Drew Schlossberg, who will be introducing our speaker. I'd like to welcome Drew as our moderator. He's been affiliated with National University for more than 3 decades as a partner and has worked with us on many projects. He's also been moderator for more than a dozen episodes of our speaker series. Drew comes to us with more than 40 years' experience in media, marketing, public relations, and the newspaper industry. Drew is a well-known podcaster and broadcaster. Earlier in his career, he served as the Community and Public Relations Director and official spokesperson for the San Diego Union Tribune. Drew is a leading consultant for Cloudcast Media and produces several podcasts, including Spotlight on the Community, which is the longest running podcast in the country. Drew is a well-known figure in the San Diego community, serving on several boards, including Junior Achievement, Council on Literacy, and Classroom of the Future Foundation. Audience, I hope you enjoy today's presentation on Beyond the Title and what it truly takes to lead. I will turn it over to Drew, and he will present the background on our speaker, Jamie. Drew?
Well, thanks so much, Nancy. I really appreciate that. And you folks are going in for a treat. You're going to see an energetic presentation by Jamie Moraga. We're going to have some fun. I've been honored to know Jamie for many, many moons. And she is the CEO of Franklin Revere, a consulting company, and the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Revered, The Power of Female Leadership. She has a storied career in San Diego. She was the CEO and president of IntelliSolutions from 2006 till it was acquired in 2022. What you're going to find out from the book, Revered, explores female CEOs from founding to exit and everything in between. She's the past president and advisory board member of the San Diego Military Advisory Council, better known as SDMAC, and is a weekly contributor to the San Diego Union Tribune's Econometer column. You will enjoy this chat. Jamie, it is all yours.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Drew, and thank you, Nancy, and the National University team. So I am going to see if I can share my screen here real quick and have it be successful. So, Drew, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so hi everybody. I am Jamie Moraga, CEO of Franklin Revere and author of Revered, The Power of Female Leadership. Thank you so much for being here, and it's an honor to be number 62 in the speaker series. So I wanted to move on to a little bit about me. Drew touched on it a little bit, but I am a mom, I am a CEO, I am a wife, author, entrepreneur. I am a weekly contributor to the San Diego Union Tribune's Econometer column. I've been doing that for a little over 12 years, which is crazy. I'm also the 2014 president of SDMAC, as Drew mentioned. And fun fact, I was pregnant with my son while I was president of SDMAC. So he is in that photo with me. He was my co-president. I consider myself an extroverted introvert. Any Peloton users? So raise your hand in there, type in the chat. I'm a big Pelotoner. I've been doing it 5 or 6 years every day. So I started off on the bike, but now I'm tread, strength, and meditation, but every day. I just enjoy it and it just keeps me sane. I am energized by analogies, metaphors, and symbolism. And if you read my book, Revered, you will see that woven through the entire book. I am a Starbucks lover. To the chagrin of my husband, I start the day with a matcha green tea latte hot, and that is what caffeinates me and gets me going. And then also, I'm a music enthusiast. So I believe that my personal and professional life is tied to different songs throughout my journey. And I actually created a through line in the book that has music tied to it and created a companion playlist on Spotify. So as you read Revered, you can then listen to the songs on the playlist. So it creates a companion atmosphere. So it brings my love of music to the book and ties into it as well. Moving on. So my journey to Revered. So I started off as a young female leader in a male-dominated industry. So I was in my late 20s when I started. I started in IntelliSolutions in 2006. Engineering services, program management support for Navwar here in San Diego. And back in 2006, there were not a lot of young female leaders or female president CEOs in the room. On top of that, I felt sometimes at a disadvantage. So I hadn't served. I didn't attend one of the academies and graduate from there and didn't have the ring to ring the ring knocker. I wasn't an engineer or a scientist, and I hadn't worked in the industry previously. So here I am, young, female, no previous real experience other than I had my MBA and I had a healthy dose of that. I don't know if people are familiar with Legally Blonde and Elle Woods, that is like what, like it's hard, and that what I call courageous optimism. So just had that fearless thing like, okay, I think I can do this. And I just thought, why not? And so I went into that. As I progressed along my career, and became a mom. I then saw more highlight reels of success presented publicly by other female CEOs and presidents and founders of businesses. And as I was looking for relatability and authenticity in the role, it was hard for me to find it. I think back then people just didn't feel comfortable sharing different aspects and behind the scenes and realities of the person behind the role. And they wanted to show, wow, I can do all these things and I can do it well. I can be the mom, I can be the CEO, I can be the board member, I can do all these things well. And that left me feeling lacking, and searching for someone who was like me. And I just couldn't find her. So, has anybody else felt that way? If you have, please raise your hand or put a thumbs up in the chat or something, because I just feel like sometimes can feel isolated and alone at some points in our leadership journey. So I'm not going to get into it here, but I do in the book. I did have a personal tragedy that led to the loss of my self-belief and intuition. And in the book, along with my journey, as Drew mentioned, from founding to exit and everything in between, from founding, growing, and eventually selling, you also see my journey of reclaiming my self-belief and my inner strength. And I think what I'm trying to say is leadership is not linear or one size fits all. So my journey is not going to be like yours. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's the same thing with all the other female leaders that I interviewed in the book. Everybody has different backgrounds, experiences, that lead to their leadership journey. And so I just want you to know that there's no blueprint, there's no roadmap, there's no magic. It's just comes down to certain leadership qualities, and it's something that you can create and cultivate in yourself. The other thing is the public really only sees the tip of the iceberg. So it's only what is visible and what people share versus everything that is below the surface, which is often hidden unless it is shared. So what I tried to do with Revered is to share both. So what's it like really? The life of a CEO is often filled with contrasts, and in some cases, they're experienced simultaneously. And we often admire leaders that are on a pedestal. You think, okay, this is easy. Anyone can do it. They had overnight success. I can sit there, you just imagine that it came easier, but the truth is much deeper because there is much more that goes into it. It's behind every accolade is grit and it's sacrifice and the constant juggle of family, career, and the unseen highs and lows. So here you've got the roller coaster image here on the slide. And what it shows is the duality of leadership. So you have your ups and your downs, and you're confident or you have self-doubt, clarity, uncertainty. So the parallels, the different things and the paradoxes of leadership. And you experience it sometimes simultaneously, sometimes in a short period of time. So for example, you could sit there and win a contract and be celebrating 1 minute, and then an hour later you get a call from HR and you've got to put out a fire. So it just Revered captures both what you see above the surface and the unseen journey behind it. So pieces of the leadership puzzle. So I designed the book where it's got 4 phases of the CEO journey. So we've got the founding first 7 years, the middle years, the experienced veteran years, and the retirement transition exit years. And the stories come from women from diverse backgrounds. So it's different industries, business sizes, parts of the country, industries, etc. And what it is each chapter centers on a different quality or aspect of leadership. And each story is a puzzle piece, putting it together to form a more complete picture of leadership. So, what do my CEO journey and my book journey have in common? I knew nothing. So, for example, with my as an entrepreneur, when I started my business, I had my MBA, but I was learning from scratch, ground zero. Same thing with my book journey. I'm writing for the Union Tribune weekly for 12 years, but did I really know what the book journey was going to be about? No, I both were a fire hose. But what it is that I had drive, I had determination, that healthy dose of naivete, willingness to learn, and a few other leadership qualities that I'm going to talk about in the coming slides. If you are interested in anything about the book process, whether that is from blank page to launch, we can ask those questions in the Q&A at the end. Um,
Yeah,
but what,
I was going to point that out, Jamie, is
yes.
that when people want to put this in, we're going to probably chat for about 5, 10 more minutes, and then we'll be taking as many questions as you have, but to put them in the Q&A as well. Great start, Jamie, by the way.
Perfect. Thanks, Drew, for plugging the questions in the Q&A. Okay, what I wanted to do before I move on to the next slide is why sharing my book journey early in the process, what it taught me. So initially, I was going to keep my book journey a secret. I wasn't going to tell a soul other than my husband that I was going to be writing a book. I just didn't want anyone to know. I was going to keep it. I wasn't even going to tell my parents. Why, you ask? Because it's very vulnerable position for me to be in. I didn't have everything figured out yet. I was still in the early stages. What would people think? Could I even do this? What if I failed? And so normally I'm a pretty private person. So putting myself out there like that I felt very vulnerable, very uncomfortable. And I thought all of these things in January of this year. And luckily, I had a book coach who said no. She said, it's time to post and be public and tell people now, even before you're ready. And why is that powerful? So I can tell you right now that if I hadn't done that post, and you can find it in LinkedIn, it is there, that I told everybody that I was doing this. It would have been easy for me to delay or walk away because if no one knew, then it would have been easy for me to just be like, yeah, this isn't right for me. I'm just going to push it to next year or shelve it when it got uncomfortable. But what it did is it provided me accountability. When I was going to lunches, breakfast, coffees, talking to people on the phone, emailing, a lot of the question was, how's the book going? And it just, I had to be accountable. I had to sit there and say, hey, I'm moving forward. I'm doing this. Here's where I am right now in the process. It also provided me support. I was able to get family and friends and colleagues that are like, this is amazing. Good for you. I'm really excited for you, which also helped. And then it also powered my why and validated the idea that I had for the book. So people were like, wow, this is a great topic. I like what you're doing. Yes, this is needed. So it helped me feel like, okay, I'm on the right track. So all of these things I'm telling you is helped fuel my grit and my perseverance for the road ahead. Okay, so what does it take to truly lead, which is the topic of why we're here? So while I was writing my book and interviewing the female CEOs that are featured in the book, from founding to exit and everything in the between, all those different phases I talked to you earlier, four common threads popped up. More came up, but I'm going to just for brevity's sake, sticking with these four. One, working through self-doubt. Two, building resilience. Three, seeking mentorship and empowering others. And four, committing to continuous learning. So I'm going to go through each of these pretty quickly for time. But so in the chat, and Drew, you might have to help me with this because I can't see the chat right now, is everybody, what does the word uncomfortable mean to you? And use only one word, and type it in the chat. What does the word uncomfortable mean to you? And Drew, please, if you see some words, pop them out. Let me know.
Fear, unsettled, unfamiliar, unknown, self-doubt, hard. Someone wrote Drew Schlossberg. That's not right.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Miserable, so forth. How about
Okay. This is okay. All right. So, for many years, I associated the word uncomfortable with something negative, just like all of you have, just what Drew just said in the comments. I'm someone who loves comfort, predictability, and harmony. Okay. those are three words that do not correlate with the word uncomfortable, nor do they correlate with the word or the roles of CEO, author, and leader. So maybe I was in the wrong business. But you know what? Honestly, this shows that even though I prefer that, it means that you can still do it. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And because I love safety, uncomfortable to me was stressful and all the things that you all have said in the chat. So I talked with Star Edwards, founder and CEO of Bitchin' Sauce, and she said this quote to me, and it changed my whole perspective. She said, "I'm okay with being uncomfortable, and a lot of people aren't. But if you can be uncomfortable, then you can grow. Growth is uncomfortable." So for many years, I didn't equate being comfortable with uncomfortable with growth. I am pushing myself and reaching. To me, it was uncertain, scary, and stressful. But she's right. Growth is uncomfortable, it's messy, and it's hard. And looking back, yes, over my personal and professional journey for the CEO, even being a mom, even being a book writing, author, yes, at every point it has been uncomfortable. Even preparing for today, I had moments of being uncomfortable because I'm growing, I'm stretching, and I'm learning. And it's because I'm pushing myself. I'm learning something new, I'm questioning myself, and I'm working through trial and error. So, okay, how do we push through self-doubt to get to self-belief? So, as you push yourself, as you learn, and as you fail, you build confidence. So, you learn from your mistakes, you see what you're capable of, and you get strong, and you get stronger than you think. You start to build that I can do this muscle. And so, what you need to do is start to recognize and celebrate your small wins. Because if you look at what you're doing, and we have a tendency, we're human, we look at, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I did that wrong, or made that mistake. Start looking at your small wins and start really recognizing it. And take the time, even give yourself a high five. I started doing that with myself over the past few years, and it makes a difference. Like, you just giving yourself that credit. Learn to listen and trust your gut and your intuition. You really have to, it's talking to you. You just have to listen to it. And then it's reframing uncomfortable as growth and opportunity, thinking of it as positive and moving the needle. And growth isn't safe, and it's not cozy, and it's not predictable. So that's how I started to reframe it. So as I have felt uncomfortable over this past year since I talked with Star, I would sit there and go, you know what? I'm growing, and that's good. I don't want to stagnate. I don't want to stay in the same place. And so that helped me reframe uncomfortable with something more positive. And another thing I wanted to say is, my son Jack, he's almost 11 in the 5th grade, and he just did a robotics tournament. And I love how his teacher, she sat them all down, and before the tournament started, she said, "Hey, if you make a mistake, if you run into an issue, if you flub your lines, if you made a mistake with coding, come back and tell the group. We're going to celebrate it because you've pushed yourself, you've stretched, you've grown." And she would give them stickers that they would wear. Like, they ended up with stickers like on their chest and on their forehead, and it was positive. Like, I know when I was growing up, failure and uncomfortable was a fate worse than death. And here are these kids who are celebrating the fact that they're growing and they're learning and they're stretching and they're experimenting. So I just give credit that the younger generations are starting to embrace reframing failure and uncomfortable as a positive thing, as a growth opportunity. And before we move on, is like the magic happens in the doing. The sooner you start, the sooner you learn. And that comes from Trish Clifford, also featured in the book, co-founder of Lecce. So it's just the magic in doing. It's just moving forward and doing it. Building resilience. So I had talked with Melinda White here. She's the former CEO of Transit Wireless, and she kept her aspirations larger than her fears. And that's how she was able to work through setbacks and push through challenges, and to actually get her to springboard from where she was to where she wanted to go. So she just made sure, she kept telling herself, I've got to keep my aspiration larger than my fears. And during this whole book journey, there were countless moments I could have quit. But I choose to keep moving forward and learning from each setback because this was a life goal of mine. I'm passionate about championing female leadership. And I knew I could do it despite the odds because I've done hard things before and I knew I could do hard things again. You build grit by learning from the challenges and the obstacles. So, granted, yes, we all want to be sunshine and roses and everything goes our way, but you need to go through, unfortunately, you got to learn and grow from the obstacles and the challenges and the setbacks. That's where the grit and the resiliency really comes in. um, Resilience is about how you move forward and how you bounce back, how you pick yourself up after failures, challenges, and obstacles. So do you give up? Do you throw in the towel? Do you quit? Do you get discouraged? Resilience is about putting one foot in front of the other, even when the odds are against you. So, yes, be disappointed. I'll sit there and throw my pity party for a little bit, and then I'll be like, okay, problem solving mode. How am I going to fix this? How am I going to make it better? How am I going to improve this? How can I move this forward? You got to be willing to try, fail forward, and learn quickly. So, really, you got to stay authentic and grounded, true to your values. Perhaps utilize some humor. I know some of the female CEOs that I interviewed in the book, they utilize humor to get through some really difficult times. Lean on your support systems. You need to have those cheerleaders, those people that say, yeah, that really didn't go well, but you know what? You're capable of better. I know you can do it. I believe in you. And stay committed. You want to be focused on your why, your mission, your vision, your values, why you're doing what you're doing. And along the way, give yourself the grace, let go of the perfection, because frankly, none of us are perfect, and keep embracing a growth mindset because you got to have the drive and the discipline. You really have to want it. All right, seeking mentorship and empowering others. So I talked with Carolyn Wynn, CEO of SDG&E and Executive VP of Sempra Energy, and she said, I did have wonderful mentors along the way, so I saw it was possible. I think seeing is believing. And that is something I agree with. I saw that myself, so I knew, okay, I can do this too. You also, when you're on the journey, you don't want to do it alone. You don't want to get isolated. You want to ask for help because there is no such thing as work-life balance. It's a juggle. And this is about, seeking coaching. Don't be afraid to seek coaching. Don't be afraid to seek mentorship. Don't be afraid to get peer support or to do education where you do courses, learn, grow, do the peer accountability, having others sit there and check in with you and you check in with them. You want to have the support system that celebrates your highs and picks you up when you're low. Mentors can be someone you know, or they can be somebody you admire from afar, so a role model that you're inspired by. And they can be male or female. That's the thing. That's the key. I wouldn't be where I am without male and female mentors and role models. So it's important. Then also, I would say too, with mentorship is you want to have a relationship with that person. You don't want to just email someone and just say, hey, can you mentor me? And they've never met you before. You really want to sit there and get to know them. It's the know, like, trust factor. They want to champion you, and it maybe naturally evolves from there. On the other side is the empowering of others. So mentor others, champion teams, serve, give back, help others grow, and champion them. Several women that I talked with in the book, some of them indicated that there were people along the way, supervisors, leaders, colleagues that said, hey, why don't you go for that promotion? Why don't you step up here? Why don't you, start that business? That idea is great. And they saw something in them that they didn't even see themselves. So you don't know, that little nudge that you give someone could make all the difference. So really encourage leadership in others if you see it and you can support it. So if we foster collective success, we will see a community of people supporting one another. Committing to continuous learning. So Jennifer Adams, CEO of Jennifer Adams Brands, she has been a CEO and founder of her business for 25 years. I give her mega credit because the road is difficult and 25 years is phenomenal. She dreams with reckless abandon. She, a few times a year, will sit down and just doesn't sit there and put any restrictions on herself, and just what are her personal and professional goals? What are her aspirations? Is it her dream or someone else's? And it helps her grow, evolve, and become more confident and reinvent herself as needed. And also doing that, connecting to her core values and her joy and happiness with the role and with her personal life. So we're living in a fast-paced environment. Life is changing like a bullet train. If you don't grow, you're and evolve, you're going to stagnate, and you can't do that. The continuous learning was important. It was important to me. It still is. And it was important to many of the women, if not all of the women that I talked to in the book. They are the thirst for knowledge. It's reading, it's listening to podcasts, it's taking courses, it's meeting with people who are experts in a certain field and learning. It's that sponge and constant need to want to learn and get better. So learn in the doing. Be curious, ask questions, experiment. Set your personal and professional goals. Reflect. So journal if you like something like handwriting or typing on your computer. Voice memo if you want to just do something vocally. If you're a visual person, do a vision board. But the self-reflection is the key. Where are you now and where do you want to go? And identify those goals. Make sure they're in alignment. Create a roadmap. But also, it's trial and error. You got to be patient with yourself. And Bob, you got to be able to pivot and adapt as needed. All right, defining success on your own terms. So, if it were easy, anyone could do it. I know other people may have said this quote, but I'm going to say this because this is the person that told me for most of my life. Frank Hewitt, former CEO of Com Global Systems and one of the founders of SDMac, and he's also my dad. So yes, if it were easy, anyone could do it. Leadership is hard, but it's possible. Defining success on your own terms. You need to decide what success means to you. Reflect on your values. What matters most? Is it titles? Is it money? Is it accolades? Is it recognition? Is it impact? Is it moving the needle? Is it happiness, well-being? You got to determine that for yourself. You need to set goals that match those vision and values, and don't get swayed by outside expectations. Society will give you a definition of success, but that may not be what resonates with you. And measure the progress on what matters to you, and stay flexible because your definition of success is going to evolve and change as you grow. Just like my definition of success back in 2006 is definitely different than what it is now. You can find inspiration in others, but really you need to focus on your own journey. What makes you happy? What makes you proud? What drives you? What is your measure of success? And that's really what matters. And defining success on your own terms should feel authentic and lasting to you, allowing you to lead and live with purpose and confidence. So, all right, I have a question. So, Drew, you may have to help me with this too. Is type in the chat, which of these areas do you most want to grow or improve right now? So, is that working through self-doubt? Is that building resilience? Is that seeking mentorship or empowering others? Or is it committing to continuous leadership? So, if you want to type in the chat if one of those topics resonated to you and it's something that you want to work and improve on. What really resonated with you?
So we got a continuous leadership up there, seeking mentorship, another continuous leadership, empowering others, and continuous leadership, working through self-doubt, continuous leadership, seeking mentorship.
Okay.
So those seem to be the ones that are coming up to the top.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, taking your leadership journey further. So, we don't have a lot of time together, and I want you to be able, if you are interested in this topic and are interested in learning more, I developed a going behind the title companion worksheet. So, there's a QR code. If you go to that, you'll get a free companion PDF that will take you through some exercises and some reflections so that you can do your own independent learning if any of this resonated with you. And then copy of Revered. There's a QR code to Amazon. Special pricing this week. Prices will increase on Friday, so get your copy before Friday or ebook. And then also thank you and connect with me. So I've got my website, Instagram, LinkedIn. So that's it on my end. I'm going to throw it back to Drew and we can chat further.
We can chat further. Nicely done on that. And as we're chatting, please put some questions in the Q&A. We'll be asking those, but while we're waiting for some of those to come up. So you've been a CEO for quite a while, and of course you started your book journey. Obviously, different skill sets go in both of those, to say the least. What skill have you said you think you have improved upon the most since you became the owner of your company in 2006? What area have you improved the most on?
I would say definitely self-belief. I mean, I definitely started off with that naivete and that fearlessness, but once you enter into the world of entrepreneurship and you get the fire hose, then it starts to rock your confidence, and you just have to constantly have that thick skin. So from then to now, it's been building that self-belief and the confidence and learn listening to my intuition because my gut is telling me, but I have to be open and listening to it. And so I would say that that's probably been something where I started off with that naivete and fearlessness, got knocked around a few times with different events throughout the years, personally and professionally. And then it's just been building that thicker skin and that belief that I can do hard things.
In your recent talk, Cloud Talk is part of Cloudcast Media, which I'm honored to be part of course. And thank you so much for coming on the Spotlight Show quite a bit. You were very magnanimous. One of the questions from the audience was, talk about what you learned from male leadership. And listen, you jumped out there, talked about your dad, Frank, gave a shout out to Larry Blumberg, the first executive director. So, two things. One, talk a little about male leadership and
Mhm.
what are the similarities between female and male leadership, and what are some of the dissimilarities, the differences?
Yeah. I wouldn't be here without the support and the mentorship that I got. And being in a male-dominated industry, majority of them were males, and they were phenomenal, just supportive, encouraging, and just really pushed me to continue my. I mean, it was just like what I was saying. They see something in you that you may not see in yourself. I naturally have a tendency to raise my hand, but in certain circumstances, they also said, "Hey, this is something that you should consider." And they were always supportive and treated me as an equal. So I was very lucky with men like Larry and obviously my father, Frank. Has been a champion of female leadership from as far as I can remember, which I think enabled me to be able to be successful. So um, with male leadership, there's a lot of the confidence, and it's not being as open and authentic and relatable. It's, yeah, I can do this, no problem. Where women have a tendency, we'll sit there and second guess ourselves, or are we really qualified, or do we have what it takes? And so there's the differences there in how we portray leadership. Men also don't talk about all the things that you juggle with work and life as much. It's the women that have a tendency to talk about those things, juggling being a working mom and or taking care of elderly parents or any of those things. So it's men have a tendency just to keep it more business versus talking about those other things. So there, and then the similarities are we just, I think it's purpose, why you do things, what you want to achieve, um and taking leader and being leaders and fulfilling that goal and need to lead others and to be successful with your goals and your achievements.
Right. So let me ask you this. You talked about, personal development, constant learning and this aspect of it. When did that hit you as an epiphany to say, listen, I need to pick up the game, whether it was in telesolutions or now with Franklin Revere, of course, in this journey writing a book, which is a total different animal,
Yeah.
that said, I need to really pick my game up in this area.
Yes. So I wish I had, just reflecting back, and as I was writing the book this year, reflecting back on my CEO journey, I had the mentorship with my father, but I wish I had maybe the executive coach or a life coach or somebody who could have helped. He could talk about the business side, but for me, I needed help with being the mom and being the working mom and being the CEO and managing all of that. So I think I would have been benefited from being able to ask for help earlier. But back then, to be honest, if you asked for help, it was seen as a vulnerability that people would question your authority or question, your leadership. Now it's more accepted. Yes, of course you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to have that coach, you want that mastermind. I just feel like the times have evolved. And I feel like my book writing journey this year, I actually did do that. I started with a book coach who helped me through the entire process. And that was extremely helpful. It helped me get from blank page to launch. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without her and her team. And it's admitting that, you do need that help, you do need that guidance. And it's not a vulnerability. It's you're growing and you need somebody who with the expertise that can help teach you. So it is continuous learning. So it's reframing that. And unfortunately, back when I started, it would have been, I felt like, ooh, I should know everything. I shouldn't ask for help. And then it's evolved to, yeah, I do need help. I do need guidance. And I'm not afraid to do it. And I think it's good that we do it. We need it. We don't know everything. All of us don't know everything, and we need the help and expertise from others.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to know your cool husband for a long time, Ben, who is the CEO of the Rancho Santa Fe, Foundation. How do you work well with him when it comes to leadership? And because obviously the father of of Jack and all that business, but do you guys bounce ideas off each other? You're both in a leadership role.
Yeah, we do. We'll talk about we'll just a lot of it is just being a sounding board. A lot of it is just being able to talk out loud with each other and just like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, and did you experience that? And yeah, you just have that open dialogue and see the differences and the similarities. He's in the nonprofit sector, and I was in the military and defense sector. Some things are similar, some things are different, but yeah, it's just the exchange of ideas and feedback and really just being a support system for each other.
Right. You've been around the military, obviously,
Yeah,
for your whole life.
my whole life.
And thank you, Frank, and everybody else on this. Maybe you jumped on a little bit, but how does that working around military leaders, male and female, have impacted your personal style?
My personal style. You know what? I like with the military leaders that I've been around. They're disciplined. They are they have a good sense of humor, which I appreciate. And it's a quirky, fun sense of humor, and I like that the majority that I have encountered are supportive of women leadership. At least those are the ones that I've encountered here. I've been very lucky. So even when I was the 2014 president at SDMAC, here I am, the youngest president. I think I still hold that title ever of SDMAC. I don't think there's been anybody younger than I was that's held that position. And I'm at the head table with these senior flag officers. And, I'm sitting there having conversations with them and they're including me and I never felt like a fish out of water. They all were just embraced me in that leadership role. And so, yeah, I lucked out in that respect for sure.
So, looking at all this, how many women did you interview for the book?
It was over 20. I want to say like 22.
About 22, right? And how many of those did you know beforehand?
Yeah, I probably knew maybe two or three directly. The rest were either someone knew them. So, for example, I tapped into Nancy here. She introduced me to a couple people, and then you introduced me to someone.
Right.
And so it was a warm intro. Then there was some cold asks. It was me doing the email or direct message on LinkedIn and Instagram and seeing who was going to respond. There were a lot of people who didn't, and then there were a lot. I just threw it out there and then saw who would respond. And so I was lucky to get the depth and breadth that I was able to get for the book.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's start to finish and everything in between in that aspect of it. Here's a interesting question that popped up here. What do you wish someone had told you before you stepped into your first leadership role? So bring the clock back to
Yeah.
Solutions, and geez, I wish someone would have told me X. Now I know you got a lot of feedback from your dad, of course, which is very important. So you hit the ground running quite a bit. But is there something else? Boy, I wish someone would have said this. What is the
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, it's I think what I talked about a little bit, like it's the range of emotions you can have and the duality of leadership where one moment you could be flying high and then the next moment it's like, oh crap. And then you're sitting there scrambling. And then you could be certain about something and then you have that, shoot, I don't feel super confident about that. So it's an interesting dance. Just being able to navigate those range of emotions and those dualities in that role. And I never thought that. I never thought that it was going to be that wild of a ride.
So you listed a whole variety of qualities, resilience and listening and patience and all that business. Which is the one you think you still need to make the most improvement?
The most improvement. Um, I think I'm starting to master the importance of being uncomfortable in leadership. That was something that, like I talked about earlier, I had always equated it as a negative, and I'd been focusing ever since I had that conversation with Star earlier this year. It's been I'm building that I can do this muscle with being uncomfortable and being okay with being uncomfortable. And that's pushing me to grow. So I think that that's still a work in progress for me. I didn't even realize it back when I had that until I had that conversation with her. And it really just put a spotlight on that for me. On I always try to shy away from being uncomfortable. So I'd sometimes navigate away from certain things. And now I'm just full force, like, okay, let's do it. Let's go. And yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable and it's part of the growth. So I'm here for it.
Right. So, how do you recommend, a good question for the audience, prospective leaders make contact with potential mentors? How do they do this? How do they go about it?
Yeah.
How do you even know who a mentor is? Sometimes you think
Yeah.
this is a person, a mentor, and maybe that was not a mentor.
Yeah. Um, mentorship is sometimes is probably more natural and evolves. I think it's putting yourself out there. It's networking. It's attending events and getting to know people, getting to know the leaders, volunteering at these different events because then you get to a chance like these conferences or professional organizations where you could meet somebody or find someone that you admire from afar. Are they attending something? Get maybe or do you know someone who knows someone who can do a warm intro for you where you can go have a coffee? A lot of it is you just start naturally. You don't sit there and say, I want you to be my mentor right away. It should be something where you touch base periodically. You ask questions. You just say, hey, what did you do here? And it ends up being a natural evolution where that person all of a sudden just becomes a mentor for you, or you could even formalize it and say, hey, you've been providing great guidance to me this past year, the past few months. I really appreciate it. Do you think that you would be interested in mentoring me further or more formally or something like that? But a lot of it's going to be you need to put yourself out there, be engaged in different opportunities where you can meet people just because or be introduced to someone through a mutual friend or colleague that can help start the process, the dialogue, and the building of the relationship that will get you. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but it'll get you there. In the meantime, role models are great. They are from afar. You can start to see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what you think that you would like to do that they're doing, and then just go from there.
So, One of the things that, and I know you personally because I've known you for quite a while,
Yeah.
that I've always marveled on, and all leaders do this well, and they make it look easy, is time management. But besides staying up for 5 straight days with no sleep, which is probably not the best healthy way to do it, how do you do that? So here you are, you got a CEO of a company, you just sold another company, you're heavily involved in the community.
Mhm.
Your son is very active and very bright, juggling this. Any hints? What has made you good at time management, or do you need to get better?
You want the honest answer?
Of course I do.
I am not very good at time management. Ask my husband that question too. He'll tell you. I am my type A personality, overachiever. I zone in and I focus, which is great for the task at hand, but it's also very difficult for everything around you. So, yeah, I need to get better with time management. I have a tendency now. I mean, when I did the book, it was late nights, so it was. I tried to do stuff during the day, jack stuff from school, all his after school activities, and then it was 9 p.m. to 1 or 2 a.m. And then, or I'd get up early and do something before the sun came up. But I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to learn from others on how to better time manage. I have a tendency to always want to refine something and work something and do something because I want to be proud of it instead of, hey, this is good enough. You need to move on to the next task. So I'm a work in progress. I'm always open to tips on time management. That's something I definitely want to work on is be better about balancing that. I just care so much. And so I get so sucked in. And yeah, so I think my husband would agree. Definitely need to balance or juggle that a little bit better. So that's my honest
Yeah,
answer.
yeah. When you were doing the interviewing for the book, and chatting with all these wonderful leaders in this area, was there any one thing that popped out? You go, boy, I never really thought about that, and I'm surprised that I have not known that before. Was there anything that just came out of an epiphany out of anywhere, or not really?
I don't know. I think there was other people on the panel with me that I interviewed for the book, and I feel like we were all pretty, forthcoming with what I had in the interviews. So I don't think anything really surprised me at what was on the panel or what was discussed. Sorry, I can't do any further for you on that one.
Yeah, no, you listen, you and I have talked a lot about communication, about how critical it is, and the most important part of communication is how to be a great listener. We don't do that too well. We hear a lot, we just don't listen well in this aspect. How have you really honed your listening skills? Because every great leader is a phenomenal listener.
Yes. Yes. I, especially during the book writing process, because I did so many interviews with the women, it was really listening to their answers. And I considered myself a conductor of the book and an orchestra conductor. And it was as they would talk, I'd sit there and be like, oh, that's the piece of the puzzle I want to put here. And so, yeah, you need to have those listening skills. You pick up on things that they may not even realize they're saying or doing. And it's like that in anything in leadership. If you listen and pay attention to detail, you never know when those things will come back to help you in the future or help shape something in the future. So, yeah, listening is extremely important. You don't want to be talking all the time because you need to be in the receptive mode and to learn from others, hear from others, get perspective from others, and that helps your leadership capability as well. Because it shouldn't just be you constantly talking. Then everyone just you don't get the feedback.
Exactly. You describe the book as a part of a movement. What do you hope that movement inspires in others, especially those who are just beginning their leadership journey?
Yeah, I believe in championing female leadership. I believe it's possible. I think I'm as an extroverted introvert, as somebody who loves harmony and comfort and coziness and predictability. I want to show that leadership's possible if you believe in yourself. You put in the work, you're determined, you don't let things set you back. If you have that purpose, that goal in mind, keep at it. Don't get discouraged. I mean, you can have those moments of being discouraged, but keep moving forward. Keep one step in front of the other. And then I just hope that that message carries because I want to see more female start businesses. I want to see more female CEOs in established businesses. We need to see more female leaders in board positions. We need more VC funding for women-owned businesses. And then also allowing our next generation of female leaders seeing, yes, this is possible. I can sit there and open up this book and I can find someone to relate to. And I just wanted it to be a motivating and empowering and encouraging. It's just I want people to know that it's possible.
And I think that's great. So, last question before we turn it back over to Nancy. Um, and if you want to shut me out of this one, I absolutely understand for asking this question. You ready for book two?
Ah, it's a little soon for that, Drew, but I do see potentially
Yeah.
a young reader companion book to this. Yes, I would like to adapt it because it's so important for the elementary, middle school. I feel like Revered is good for maybe later high school, college, grad school, and then, obviously adults. But if I could tap into the future leaders and encourage them in some way. So I think at some point I'll try to adapt it. Next up for me, I think is going to be the audiobook for Revered. I mean, the audience that it's geared towards, they're women on the go. They need it while they're commuting or taking a walk. Everyone's busy. Reading a book is a luxury. So that's in the new year. That'll be my focus is to record that and get that up on the platforms and Audible. So, but I would like at some point to do the young reader adaptation of Revered.
Well, Jamie, always a pleasure to see you and chat with you. You did a fine job, on this. I hope our audience enjoyed. There's still some questions to answer, but I think we're going to wrap it up, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Nancy Roland.
All right. Thank you very much, Drew. And big shout out to Jamie for sharing your journey with us. I think that everyone in our audience had an opportunity to really get some valuable insights on what you've learned from your personal experience and certainly those dozens of women that you interviewed. Yes, I know some of them, and they're just everybody's got a very individualized journey. And I think there's something that our audience, I always feel our speaker series needs to leave those golden nuggets that you can take away. And you certainly have shared so much that I think is valuable to the audience. And Drew, so appreciate you moderating another NU
Yeah.
speaker series. And I know that you have interviewed Jamie many times in the past with her various hats and various roles in the community. Thank you to our audience. And please feel free to get a copy of Jamie's book. I read it on an airplane and, it was really interesting, especially knowing some of the individuals that were interviewed. But very, very impressive. And, everybody can learn from it. Thank you. I would like to share just a few upcoming events. So we have the Attitude of Gratitude, celebrating the power of mentorship. Mentoring is a really important topic that also came up tonight. And so please feel free to join us for that. We've got Trevor Blair with Blair Search Partners, who will be here on November 20th, and that is open to the public. We have an Alumni Association meeting also on Thursday. And then, because of the importance of networking, we have what we call Navigator Networking. So that's an opportunity where you can just join, and it's great to connect, especially for a lot of people who are working remotely or attending school remotely. So feel free to join us. And then a fun night at the San Diego Gulls game. That is open to anyone on this call. It's open to the public to join us at Pechanga Arena. That happens to be an education appreciation night. And then we're very excited for our December speaker series. It will be Nick Yoder will be interviewing three different people in relation to our Harmony program on the transformative power of healthy relationships and learning, home, and the workplace. So please feel free to join us for that. Again, a big thank you to Jamie, to Drew, to Heather and Lindsay and Diane. Every month, we really enjoy bringing the speaker series to you, and I hope that you share it with others. And please feel free to view some of the recordings from this episode if you felt you missed anything, or from any of our prior episodes. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy anniversary to National University next week.